Agnes, Varda. And I'm going to turn the mic over to Jonathan Rosenbaum.
Well, you've just seen one of the, maybe the most archetypal French New Wave film. I think it's archetypal in many ways. It has the cameraman of that Chabrol worked with so much, Jean Rabier. It has perhaps the longest cameo ever played by Jean-Luc Godard with Anna Karina in the film within the film. To me, what's most New Wave-like about it is the fact that it goes back and forth between documentary and fiction, which to me is the hallmark of the French New Wave. But I think, you know, people often, there are ways you can relate this film to the other arts, including music, obviously, painting, because you talked, which I'd like you to talk about, the painter who inspired you. But I'd also like to ask you about if you were thinking about novels at all, because it seems to me that literature has played an important role in many of your films. And the chapter titles made me think of a novel very much. So I'm wondering if that was something you were thinking about at all when you made it.
I cannot. Oh, we share. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Jonathan went right away in the detailed discussion. You know, chapters, it's a word we use in literature, but I had to cut the time because, you know, we did the experiment. If the film starts at 5, sometimes they did it at 5 p.m. sharp, people can check, you know, by looking at their watch that it really follows the time, and the chapter are to say, yeah, it's 5:20, it's, you know, 5:65, 5:35. So I had the difficulty when I did the shooting and the editing to be sure we would fit into time. Because my point was to tell a film in 90 minutes, which is not from 5 to 7, but to 5 to 6:30, to be honest. But 5 to 7 is a way in France that we used to say, you know, you escape to have a little love affair in the afternoon. It's a 5 to 7. So it was a little, comment on dit un clin d'œil, a glimpse, but it's not serious at all. It's 90 minutes of the life of a woman who is afraid. And my idea was to work with the real time and be with her exactly all the time in the real time. Because the vocabulary in cinema is made of ellipse, you know, you say, I always take the same example. You have a luggage, and 1 minute after you're in the train, nobody asks you, you know, what you did between the luggage and the steps and the taxi, whatever. So we are used to jump from one place to another and one time to another. Not only flashback, but sometimes just something and then it's next day or next week. So my game, if I say so, my idea was to be exactly on time, and not only on time, but in real geography. When she takes a taxi, if you know Paris, I mean, she takes the real trajectory, is that word? From one place to another. And when she goes to the garden, I mean, she really crosses the garden. It takes the time she takes to cross the garden, and the bus 67 goes to the hospital. So I was playing with reality of time, reality of geography, and then can we feel what she feels? What can we, in the same time, be so organized, I would say, and then still feel? I mean, I always thought as an allegory that, you know, when people do music and they learn the piano doing something, we call it metronome. It does, and then I thought, can you listen to that and hear the sensibility of the violin in the same time? So that was my point, to try to push the people in the room, and maybe you did feel that after a while, you know it's real time, but you care about her more than about the time. Still, we are in the real time, which is I would call an objective time. You cannot discuss the watch, you cannot discuss the time. But the subjective time is something that you feel goes faster sometimes, slower sometimes. You feel when you wait for something, it's endless. When you're in a good mood, it goes too fast. So our rapport and our relationship with time is absolutely subjective and personal. So I was playing with objective and subjective. So
that's in a way similar to the idea, though, of documentary and fiction. The documentary is like real time,
yeah,
and subjective is like fiction.
Because it's not documentary because it's all prepared, but I took advantage of people meeting in the street or in the cafe, or the feeling that it is true that the woman who sells the hats was really the woman, because it's more easy if it's there. And then also, yeah, because, you know, she wasn't knowing how to sell hats, which, you know, for an actor is so difficult. But what I did was also to make, what I would say, to make every moment relate to real things. Even though mostly we don't care about reality. I mean, if she has a necklace or not, or what. But I was trying to go with, another thing you didn't say, because Michel Legrand, who made the music, was acting there as Michel Legrand,
yes,
the piano. And, well, I don't think he never acted after. But maybe, and it's not a joke, it's just because at that time I said, well, you better do it yourself. And by the way, she's not a flash, what do you call that? She sings herself. She's not another voice that she imitated. She really sang herself, which is rare.
One of the things I really find fascinating in the film is that I can't think of many other films that do this, that in the middle of a shot, it can go from being objective to subjective, or the reverse. And when you have a montage of people that she's looking at on the street, that some of that is subjective because of their shots, that people she remembers and the way she thinks of them. And one of the things that fascinates me about the film is I think there's a kind of moral progress going on in the film. Because in the first part, she's very much full of herself, and she's a diva. And then in the second part, she starts to notice other people. And she starts to look at other people.
You've got the point, my dear, but it changes exactly in the middle of the film. The film is 90 minutes. After 45 minutes, she gets rid of her wig, she gets rid of her déshabillé. That's where she goes out.
Yes.
And at that point, she started to look at people. So the thing is from being looked at, is that the word?
Yes.
Being looked at by mirrors and the people, being a kind of little star of a maid, of a, you know, hairdo and all that. And in the second part, she's the one who looks at people and notice that they don't listen to her song in the cafe, and start to notice at other people how they make their living, especially the man who swallow frogs, you know. So it's a kind of disgusting way to make money. But this is, I would say, a raw reality that she gets. I mean, is that the word I mean?
Yeah, sure.
That she faces, right, going the street, the other one does this, and her friend, who is so simple, so lovely, and makes a little money by just posing. So when they ask me, this is a certain level of understanding, but I say it's a feminist film, even though she looks so gracious, so lovely, so feminine. But for me, it's a feminist film because when people ask me, let's say an example, when young girls say, come to me and say, oh, I would like to be a film director, but it's so difficult for a woman. I say, go back to your kitchen, because, I mean, a feminist point of view is stop to look at yourself, to be in the kitchen or in front of the mirror, go out and see people, look at people, understand life. So it's just getting out of the feminist caricature portrait and go out, see how people live, look what they do, take advantage of your friend, like understand how nice she is. And that's how that lady, that Cleo, wonderful Corinne Marchand, by the way. That's how in the garden she's able to speak to a soldier. I always say that another day she would have said, "Oh, get away, leave me alone, like, I'm too chic for you," or something. And that day she's fragile, she's understanding a little better things, and just naturally she speaks with him. And that's how something very important comes to her, a kind of moment of peace and understanding and a kind of brotherhood, would you say, even for that? And something very important comes in her life, which even if she's afraid, the fact that he said he will come to see the doctor with her, she said she'll go to the station with him, changes the feeling she had about fear. So fear has become a shock to open our eyes, and fear becomes something that dissolves in a way, even though the news we get are bad. So it's for me, a complex thing that I try to feel and to have the people feel it. I think it does well, because I know since the film has been made in 61, where most of you were not even conceived, true. And I'm so happy that the film has been shown in many places, many countries, many cultures, like South Korea or Brazil, and I would say the film is understood.
Yes, there's one aspect, though, that I'm very curious to ask you about. It seems like in the very beginning of the first part of the film, there's a lot about superstitions. There's the tarot cards, there's a thing, you don't wear something new on Tuesday. When she leaves, just at the point at which she's changing after the song, when she takes off her wig, she says, no, you can't wear this, it's on a Tuesday, and she doesn't care. Suddenly she breaks with that. And I'm just wondering what you thought the role of all the superstition was.
My mother was. My mother was a very decent, normal, nice woman. She was superstitious. Somebody would have told her that you should not wear something new on Tuesday. You shouldn't put a hat on the bed. Again, things like this. You should, I don't remember what. If you cross a knife, you have to put some salt above your shoulder. She was such a nice woman with no bizarre things, but she was superstitious. So I stole all the knowledge I got from her about superstition. But it was fitting in the film, because at the beginning of the film, with the card reader, which is, they always ask me, and you didn't yet ask me, why is it in color?
Yes.
So I guess you're going to ask me the question.
Yes. So why is the first sequence in color?
So the beginning in the film is in color, because it happens in the story card reader, la carte ancienne. It's what? Yeah. So because I thought that it's fake, it's fake. It's what she says. It's not true. They have psychology. They know that. They have a way of understanding.
But she does meet a stranger, and she says she's going to meet a stranger, doesn't she?
A stranger?
Or doesn't she? She says something that does happen, actually.
Oh, she says, actually, it's the story of the film. There's the lady near her. It's a governess, that a man is protecting her, that she will meet a young man. In a way, she tells the story. But we're not supposed to believe the storytelling with cards. So it was like playing the game that we announce the film, but we don't believe, because it's a woman who does like this. So, and the minute she says, "Are you ill?" then Cleo says yes, and it becomes black and white. And then there is a trick that the woman said to her husband, "She's dead, she's died," it makes us believe that maybe we should believe her, maybe not. But though I switched to black and white, and then the film is in black and white all the time.
Is there anything in the film that you would do